Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, those who are joining us. We will begin shortly. Thank you for those who have taken time to join us. This is ProsperPath. Let's give it a minute, and then we start. All right. So we don't want to keep time, so we can start now. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Habari zenu, jambo, and welcome to the Financial Literacy Month, brought to you courtesy of ProsperPath. I can see we have 74 participants. My name is Charles Mokio. I'll be your moderator and host throughout this virtual session. Our guest for today has already joined us, as you can see on the screen. I'll allow her to introduce herself, but we want to hear from you in the chat section, just to see that you're here. Just send us a chat, maybe your name, where you're from, or your name and what you do. So for example, it'll be Charles, moderator, or Charles, here in Mombasa. Let's hear it from the chat section. Just drop us a few comments so that we can know you're here. So that in the Q&A section, okay. Let's have the chat enabled, yeah. What is that request? So we're enabling that chat. Let's see if it's up. Thank you. We have Tanaka from the UK. Thank you. Keep on sending in maybe where you're from, your name, where you're from, or your name and what's your background. Are you a student? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a businessman, businesswoman? Are you in corporate? Are you a professional? So let's give it a bit of a minute. Then we start it off. In the chat section, just tell us where you're from. The chat section is enabled. Wonderful. We have Emma, an entrepreneur from Nairobi. Karibu sana, Emma. Anastasia from Eldoret. That's amazing. Karibuni sana, all the way from Western Gishu County. So we have people from all over the world. Keep on sending us your comments. Winfred, an electrical engineer from Kenya. Karibu sana. Faith, a student at USIU. Okay, Keza, that is Keza. Glory, a budding entrepreneur from Nairobi. Max, young professional from Embakasi here in Nairobi. Says looking forward to it. We have Ken from Austin. Karibu sana, Ken. Lynette Awar, from an executive assistant from Kenya. Mary from Nairobi. Nancy from Nairobi. Wangari from Nairobi. Okay, the chat, Anastasia, the chat is enabled. Irene from Meru. Winnie from UK. Marcia, filmmaker from Nairobi. Regina from Nairobi. Moenga from Washington. Okay, Jeremy, student at IU, and Dorothy from Nairobi, Sally, Marcy, Ian, lawyer from Nairobi, Carol, Mary from Nairobi, Rema, QS from Nairobi, Lydia, Ryle Cheto from Eldoret, a psychologist. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating in the chat section. We will be using this chat section to interact. So this is what we'll be interacting with. So in case you have any query and any comment, just keep on dropping us a comment in the chat section. So, okay, we have people from the UAE, all the way from Nairobi. Ivy, okay. We have people who are coming in. Sal from the UAE, Nyaga from Nairobi, and Ivy. Juliet from Germany, Joyce from Germany. Thank you. Jerry from Nairobi, Rose from Nairobi, Bell from Dar es Salaam. Okay, karibuni sana. Okay, with those, we now like to begin. As I said, my name is Charles Mokio. I'll be your moderator for today, for this evening's discussion. Welcome to the Financial Literacy Month, brought to you courtesy of ProsperPath. And what are we here to discuss? During this month, we are here to look at you and your money. So this evening is all about, and this month is all about you and your money. This month will focus on you and your money. This is the inaugural financial literacy awareness campaign. Did you know that April is actually the financial literacy month? And so if you didn't know, well, then you now know. So for this month, we have a challenge for you from the team at ProsperPath. And our challenge is a 30-day, 30 minutes challenge. So every day for 30 days, for the next 30 days, the month of April, we want you to dedicate 30 minutes in this challenge. And we invite you to spend time with yourself every day for 30 minutes in this month of April to discuss about, to look at yourself and do how to improve your personal finances. So we want you to commit 30 minutes to improving your personal finances. This is April, the April challenge. Share what you learned with a friend or a relative or a colleague. So sit down just every day, 30 minutes. What can I do to improve my personal finances? Is it my budgeting? Is it looking at investment? Is it looking at my debt? Is it looking at credit? Different things about your finances. 30 minutes every day. Sit down, have a conversation yourself, and then share it with a friend or a relative. We also have a lot in store for you for the month of April, and that is we have a lot of, I'll share the calendar. We have virtual sessions, we have physical meetups in Nairobi. So whether you're out of Kenya or within Kenya, we'll be able to interact with you. This session is being recorded and we'll be able to share it on our YouTube channel, ProsperPath.Africa. So make sure you subscribe. There is daily gems dropping there. Now let's jump straight into our topic for today or this evening, and that is getting ahead of your money journey. And we're talking about money journey. Interesting that money has a journey. And so to take us through this, I would like to invite our panelist for this evening and a co-founder at ProsperPath, Dolly Sagwe. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Dolly. Dolly, karibu sana. Tell us who you are. Tell us what is this all about, why we're here, and then we can start off the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Charles. I'm equally excited to be here having this conversation with more than 100 participants who have committed this time to talk about money. My name is Dolly Sagwe. I'm a co-founder at ProsperPath. I am a champion for financial wellness. I have been on this journey having conversations with people about their money and getting them to understand how to plan their money for wellness, I think for just about 20 years now. I'm so excited to have this opportunity to be the one that is here having this discussion with you and to bring you and your attention to Financial Literacy Month, the first ever celebration here in Kenya, and to commit to doing this with ProsperPath for you every year. As Charles said, we are looking forward to you taking up that 30-day challenge. So that is me, Charles, in a nutshell.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dolly. Guys, Dolly and Candy came up with this, the co-founder. So Dolly is joining us here for the session. Thank you so much for dedicating time, and thank you guys for joining us. So we'd like to start off, what is actually a money journey? Dolly, take us through, what is a money journey? What is, what's this phrase about? What's this money journey?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah. Thanks, Charles. And it was important for us to start with this topic. From this, during this month, we're going to have these virtual masterclasses. It was important to just start with what is a money journey and how we anchor ourselves in those journeys. So a money journey is really a lifelong process of managing your finances. So think about taking a journey from, say, Kisumu and understanding that you want to end up in Mombasa. So you first have to have the desire to travel, right? And then you need to map out the route and figure out which are the stops between Kisumu and Mombasa and how you need to get there to each and every, how do you get to each and every stop? So the journey is really, it starts with understanding, where you are and where you want to go. And the in-between is how you get there. So a money journey is really that. It's a lifelong process that gets you to understand based on your life, because money is a tool for life. Money is not the end. It is a tool that enables you to live the way you'd like to live. It's a tool that facilitates, it's a tool that you use as you go through the journey of life. So your money journey is a lifelong process where you need to understand how to manage your finances. You will make decisions along the way. You will have different various stages of that journey, even as you're going to Mombasa from Kisumu, Depending on whether you're cycling there, it will be slower than if you're driving there. Then that will be slower than if you're taking an SGR, which is also slower than if you're taking a flight. So how you get there, different times and maybe different stretches of that route, you're going to take different means and use different speed along the way. So that's really what we're talking about. The whole journey of you living from the age of, let's start with 18, up until over 90, 100, that whole life that you will live and the journey that you will have and how that of life and how money is going to come and complement that journey as a complement, not as not money as a destination. So that's really about the money journey.
Okay. So we have a starting point and we have an ideal destination, and that ideal destination. So maybe you could take us through what are the different stages. So you said it's a journey that we're taking to improve, your finances and your money. So maybe we could look at are there stages in this money journey? And as you take us through this, we welcome the audience to share anything that stands out for you. Just share it within the Q&A section, and we'll be able to share with you. The online hashtag is #ProsperPath, and the hashtag is Financial Literacy Month. Now, Dolly, we're talking about different stages of this. It's a journey, so a journey has different stages. So, could you maybe tell us what are the stages of this money journey?
Yeah. So typically, we find ourselves in different parts of this journey and in different seasons of our lives. So it could be maybe in your 20s when you're starting off, or it could be that, you went through a cycle and, the journey kind of hits a restart in your 50s or in your 40s, or after a life milestone. Or something triggers you to get started again. But typically, there are different stages that we see that bring out themselves in this journey. The first one is obviously, and usually happens around when you finished high school and maybe you're not gone to college, or you finish university and you're looking for a job or looking to get started your business. The first one is, you could call it the crisis stage. Yeah, the financial crisis stage, where you are trying to figure out, okay, I have needs, but I don't have money. I have needs, or maybe the money I'm using is not mine, it's from my parents. It's somebody who's sponsoring me. I got a loan for my education and some stipend. So we could call that the crisis stage at the beginning when you're young, but you could also experience a crisis stage later in life, depending on how life goes. So so in this stage, what we're saying is that you have needs, and the income is not in your control. You don't have the control over the income, right? But the needs and the expenses, as long as I keep telling people, as long as you woke up in the morning and you opened your eyes and you breathed and you thank God for that, there's a bill you need to pay, right? There's a bill to be paid, and either you're going to be paying it when you're young, your parents and guardians are paying it, but there's a bill that will be paid just because you were blessed with life that morning. So the crisis stage is a first stage where the needs are very present and recurrent, and the income is not there. Then we move on to a stage where we call financial instability, where you still have the needs, but the finances start coming slowly. You're maybe setting up a business, or you've just come out of university and the first job you're getting is an internship that is paying less than you require, but there's some money coming in anyway. You're still unstable. Money is coming in. You understand that there is a need to generate this money, and you are looking for ways to maximize your earnings. And you start thinking about, do I get a different job? Do I apply for a different job? Do I do a side hustle? Do I have a gig on the side? What does it look like? Do I invest the little I have so that it can generate more? Does that work? And you start looking at all the resources you have to figure out how to make ends meet. But the instability stage is somewhat better than the crisis stage, because you've started earning, and from that activity of earning, you're actually learning some skills. You're even getting exposed to people. People see that you exist. If you're an intern at work, people see you and see the potential that you have. And that means you bring out yourself and the full self, and you start working for them to see you for more so that they can reward you more. So that's the instability stage where you have your expenses but you're unstable. But the other thing is you could also be in instability and earning $1 million shillings. And that is because you are actually living beyond your means. You could be unstable for another reason, not for the reason that you're getting started, right? So your instability could be triggered by the fact that you are not living within your means. You do not have a budget. You are splurging, right? You have taken on too much. Sometimes it is that kind of consumption lifestyle. It could be that. Or it could actually be that you're earning enough, everything was fine, but then something happened and triggered an emergency. And in that season, maybe 3, 4, 5 months, maybe about a year, maybe you have somebody in the hospital and they're requiring a lot of money to be channeled out from you. You get unstable for that season because of those reasons. So we do get people who are unstable. The needs are there. The finances are coming in, but the finances are not making ends meet. You cannot pay all your bills for whatever the reason that you have triggered. Okay, so that's the second one. Yes, Charles?
So crisis and then instability. So just to tell people, just if you have a notebook somewhere, if you can type somewhere. So stage 1 is crisis, stage 2 is instability. So just to tell people, you can write this down. These are very good gems. So go on, Dolly.
Yeah, and maybe to give some pointers what you could start thinking about doing in some of these stages. And these pointers I'm giving are going to make up the topics for the virtual masterclasses that will follow for the rest of the month. So I will not go deep into those. They're going to be experts who come and speak to the audience. So in that instability, if, for example, the instability has been triggered by a loved one who's sick and there's a lot of medical bills to be paid, then you need to start thinking about proactively, not later. You start thinking about insurance, medical insurance. You start thinking about things like that. It could be that you lost your job suddenly, but you had a small rental income somewhere that, you had started generating some passive income on the side, but you lose your job, which was the main source of income, and the rental income is coming in, but you have children, you have needs that are more than the rental income had matured to. Okay, so what do you think? What do you do about that? There are solutions in the market, like there's insurance for your salary. If you just in case if you have a full-time job, the insurance covers that actually cover for the salary that you might have forfeited. You also want to start generating enough money. We'll get there in the next stages, where you avoid such an instability or even moving back to crisis. And it is possible to move from instability to crisis. Yeah, just as much as it is possible to move from instability to the next one, which is stability. So let's talk about the next stage, which is the stage of stability. Now, when you get to stability, your expenses are covered by your income, and you actually have some more. You have some change, right? You're very comfortable. You're very sure that you can make ends meet month after month or season after season. We have people who are paid monthly. We have people in the gig economy who are paid by gig. We have businesses that get a big lump sum and then they go dry for 3, 4 months. But then this lump sum is coming. It will cover me or my family for 6 months or 3 months. But you know that your expenses based on what you're generating as income will be covered. And you're very comfortable with that. It gives us a sense of security, yes. But what we find mostly is that in this stage, we have this one single large source of income that we rely on. And sometimes we earn it for a bit long, too long maybe, to give us so much comfort that we don't see that it could actually go away, disappear one day. So if it's employment income, you've worked for 15 years and you're just being promoted and getting pay rises, or you're in a business that everybody knows, the customers know you, even if you have the kiosk around the corner. There's where I stay, there's this lady who sells groceries. I think since I moved here, her turnover is amazing. Each time I drive past her store, her kiosk, it is fuller and much more stocked up than years back. So you get used to this, everything is fine. Everything is fine. I'm surviving here today. Everything is fine. And you fail to see the reason to set up another source of income, another stream of income, which could come and cover the emergency. And maybe because also you're so comfortable that it's been coming for 5 years, 10 years, 16 years, etc., you don't even have an emergency fund. So we call these people, some sort of false comfort, and that comfort stays for as long as that income is there. Now, if you are not the one in the controlling seats of that income, you're not the bus driver, or you're not the pilot of that plane that gives you, generates the income, then there's a risk, right? So there, what we advise is that you need to see a financial planner. You need to figure out what to do with your excess income, or even how to reduce your expenses a bit so that you can get some money that you save and invest. You save and invest. You don't just save, because money that is saved loses value in the bank account. Yeah, so you need to save it and invest it for it not to lose value. You retain its value, and actually you just grow it. So the third stage is the financial stability stage. You are literally one check or one pay slip away from going back to instability or crisis. So we would like to remind people that it is comfortable, but don't forget that as long as it's the only major source of income, you're still not there yet.
You brought in a very interesting thing, that at this stage of financial stability, one requires to have a financial planner. And so maybe someone was saying, is a financial planner someone who's certified? Is a financial planner my mom? Is a financial planner myself? Is it a friend? How do we go about it if people can't? Maybe just tell us a bit, what is a financial planner? Is it someone, is it an accountability partner? Maybe you could be, as we are still on stage 3 before we go to stage 4. Yeah.
Okay, so that we don't make it like almost inaccessible. It is somebody who will advise you, and you can see they qualify to give you that advice. So there are those ones who are trained and certified for that. Preferably, that is where you go to. And neutral, as in they're not pushing the product and something down your throat. But through the years, we've not had, as I grew up, or my parents grew up, these planners and these people who were planning with us were just accountability partners. When they say you are the average of the 5 people you spend time with, and you figure out when you spend time with these people, what do you talk about? Do you talk about development? Do you talk about consumption and consuming and just hanging out? So you need to figure out where you're asking these questions. And you stand on the shoulders of giants, people who've been there, people who've done it, and they have a proven track record, right? I tell people, when you're building a house, you go and look for somebody who's built the house. Then you ask that person the question. Yeah. When you're buying a car, you look for someone who's bought a car, gone through the whole process. Maybe you imported it. Sit down with that person and then understand, because you successfully see that their car landed. There are other people who started the process of purchasing a car from abroad and it never landed, right? So that's not the person you go and ask for advice. But also you can actually learn from that person, and they will tell you, this is the mistake I made. Do not make it, right? So not all of us have access to a financial planner, per se, the official ones in these offices or but there is somebody within the ecosystem that you can see and identify. And now there are many information points online. But then again, you choose wisely, not just anyone, right? You go find out who is giving advice. And then what exactly are they saying? And what is their track record? Then you see, how to implement it. But always travel this journey with an accountability partner. It is actually what has worked for me as well.
Fantastic. So I'll bring you in about your journey later on, but just to hear from the audience, what do you think about these 3 stages? Do you have someone who's keeping you accountable on your finances? Engage with us on the chat section of the Q&A. The 3 stages, as she's shared so far, we have the crisis stage, the instability stage, and then we have the stability stage, which has it's a bit comfortable. And then Dolly has talked to us about having someone to guide you through on a financial plan, someone that you look up to. So do you have this? Are you at these 3 stages, or are you in the next stage that she's about to share? And also, do you have someone keeping you accountable about your finances? So let us know as she shares more. So Dolly, you could take us through the next stage. That is the fourth stage.
Yeah. So in the fourth stage, we are starting to see some independence. This is where what you have earned is actually more than what you need, what your expenses are. And you actually get to a point where you can actually stop working full time because you have started generating some passive income or some income that doesn't require you to work. One of the things I need to mention in the financial crisis stage, in your instability stage, and much more also in your stability stage, a lot of that income is actively earned, meaning that you have to get up in the morning, you have to do something. You have to get up in the morning and do something. You could also have some passive income in this stage, but it hasn't gotten to the level where it's covering your expenses. But in this side of the world, most of this income at that time is active income. You get up, you open your business. You get up, you go to work. You get up, you look for a gig, but you have to get up and do. That's the active income generation. So in independence, we start seeing maybe you're getting advantages now of passive income, meaning that you saved enough, you invested what you saved, you're earning more than you need, and there's a little extra or a significant extra amount that is allowing you to continue to invest. And that investment keeps generating for you more income. So you get to a point where you can say, my expenses are X, and actually, my income, even if I don't go to work, is greater than X. Whether it is X times 1.5, it's 1.5X, or it's 2X, 3X, 100X. But you've started getting to a point where, I can pay these bills without working. So that is the financial independence stage. And you start feeling free. And that freedom starts giving you the ability to start thinking and seeing what you could do for yourself. So that's the fourth stage. The stage that comes after that, sorry, yes, Charles.
Yeah. So I know just from I'm seeing that we are on the fourth stage, and some people are saying they're in financial crisis stage. So, do we have hope for these people? Do you have, as ProsperPath, do you have hope for them? Should they be looking at how they learn how to go to upgrade? So that they can
definitely. There's hope. There's hope at every stage. So don't lose hope.
Okay.
Don't lose hope. There's hope at every stage. And we'll go to how do you start preparing yourself to move from one stage to another, and how do you master this money journey? So there's hope.
Okay.
There's no one who was born and what is the word?
Was meant to be. They cannot be repaired.
You're cast into a certain group, and you're told this is where you'll stay. There is hope. There is hope to move on.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
so we've done the fourth, so let's go now to the fifth one. Yeah.
Okay, so the fifth one, you get to financial security. Now, in that security stage, now independence, you can cover your bills. You can you can skip a few days of working, or maybe just leave the full-time job, but the bills are being paid, and you're comfortable. So when you get to the security stage, you're secure enough to sustain emergencies. At the independent stage, you could still have a major life emergency that could, really make you unstable and maybe push you back 1 or 2 steps, right? But as you move on, you get into an independence, in a security stage where even a significantly or a fairly large emergency or crisis, you can be managed from the income that you're earning. You'll have a blip, like a small blip, and you'll be like, okay, that actually took me down some, but I'm not badly off. I still can make my expenses, and I can still continue to invest. And in this season, you have cash flows, and you're starting to gain from the cash flows. You have insurance covers. You've taken insurances for such emergencies. So you have educated yourself to know that this thing could happen. I keep saying that there are life things that have to happen. So how do you prepare for them? Look, for example, like death or death in the family. Do you take a death insurance cover so that that is covered for some bit? Or in case you're still working here, your salary cover as well. or you have a car accident, there's a medical cover, there's a car insurance cover. So you even start playing with these tools that secure you in case of emergencies. So in the financial security stage, you are comfortable enough to withstand any crisis, like any emergency that can come through. And then you have start diversifying your sources of income. You have income from maybe rent, you have income, maybe you're still working, employment, you have some passive income that's coming from interest or dividends that you have for businesses you have invested in, or tools you have invested in, or you have written a book and the book has gone viral, or started an online course and it has gone viral, and there's royalties and money coming. So you have different money coming from different places, and this is where we desire to be. Yeah, and it is possible to actually get there. So there's no significant thing at that point that can, significantly disrupt you. And you have different sources of income. That's the financial security stage.
Okay. So now we've gone through 5 stages. So now we're going to the last stage. So we have some questions coming in, but I'd like you to maybe just go through the 6 stages, then we can now allow for questions that so far have come in. So financial security stage. So the questions to the audience: are you secure? How secure are you financially? Let us know in the chat section, the comment section. Are you secure, or are you not secured? So that's what Dolly is talking about. So thank you, Dolly. So let's proceed to the last stage, then we can take a few questions from the audience.
The final stage is freedom, and this is where we all desire to be. Yeah, who would have thought that after financial security there's another stage? But we desire to be at the freedom stage, and here your expenses are covered, your emergencies are covered, disruptions are covered, and it allows you to live your purpose. You start looking for impact conversations, impact spaces to plug into. You're looking at how to help, how to serve, how to make a difference, the legacy you're building. That financial freedom mentally gives you freedom. And when you have time and financial freedom, you can imagine what it is that you can do for your family, yourself, your community. And this is where we all aspire to be. So in the freedom stage, you actually get up and you have a very, fulfilling, purpose-driven life that, in fact, could even result in you making even more than you need, because at that point, you really do have more than you need. Yeah. So maybe just to round it up so that I don't want to make it sound like you need 5 million shillings or 10 million shillings. No. It could, you start actually this journey with, you remember what I said, Kisumu, you get to Nakuru, you get to Nairobi, from Nairobi to Machakos to, I don't know, Taita, until you get to Mombasa. There are stages. So you could actually achieve freedom at Nakuru. You don't have to achieve it at Mombasa. Because in the Nakuru season of your life, which is just a few kilometers from Kisumu, your standard of living or what you need to be stable or to be independent could be 50,000 shillings, could be 30,000 shillings. It is really living within your means. Yeah. You don't need 1 million shillings to do that. You don't need half 500,000 shillings to do that. You need to understand, what is it I can afford right now? So you're moving from financial crisis to financial instability. And then instability to stability is, can my check or can what is coming in cover my expenses? The first thing is, what are your expenses? And have you really checked your expenses? So you could actually have this freedom to do purpose-driven stuff at a level of 50,000 shillings or at a level of 30,000 shillings. Yeah. And you would be happier than somebody who is earning 1 million shillings but is in crisis mode, or 1 million shillings but is in total instability, because they're earning 1 million and they're spending 2 million. All right. So just to get us to understand that it is not the amount of money, it is how you're spending the money that you're earning that really matters, not how much you earned in the first place.
So thank you for sharing that. So there's a lot of principles involved in this, from what I'm seeing. So it's not the amount, it's, do you have the principles, do you have the discipline, do you have even with the earnings that you have at this stage, whether it's whether you consider it small or big, whatever you're earning, you just need to start the discipline and the principle around it. So the 6 stages, as she's shared, I hope you've written it down to the audience. We have the crisis stage, we have the instability stage, we have the stability stage, we have the independent stage, the security stage, and freedom. Freedom to make an impact, freedom to help your family and friends. Someone in the comment section says they didn't see stage 6 coming. They thought security is the last stage. Once you're secure, they're good. But there's, so what I'm getting is that man can actually can have freedom and he can enjoy. It's not just about being secure and feeling it, but actually can enjoy, have fun, help the community, help your friends, and still, be stable. So these 6 stages, is it possible for someone to, you've obviously answered the first question, you can actually go from instability to freedom. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go through all the stages. You could have a big breakthrough in your career or in business or even an inheritance. You never know. Someone could, you could maybe win the lottery or something like that. So we are looking at, you have to go through the stage. But in terms of time, maybe you could share us, what is it that you're looking at? Is time a factor here in terms of how long does it take you to go through this, or is it more of your discipline, or is it luck, or is it a combination of a lot of things?
Yeah. So the answer is not, it takes 3 years, it takes 5 years. No, that is not the answer. It takes a plan, it takes awareness, it takes deliberate efforts and a deliberate plan to work your finances. And that's the reason why we have this Financial Literacy Month. It actually starts with financial education. Actually, it starts with financial awareness. You need to be aware that these stages exist. You need to be aware that we were not taught about money when we went through school. You need to be aware that there's something that you need to master for yourself, because you're going to be alive, and God willing, until the age of 100 plus. And for all those years you're going to be alive, you need to figure out how to feed yourself, how to clothe yourself, and how to pay your bills. So it starts with awareness. And this is what we're driving this month. This call here is really awareness. So after you are aware, and then you listen to something like this is education. You get yourself educated, and then you start acting. You taking action. Get the right people around you, take the action. Be careful with the actions that you're taking. Be careful with who you're surrounding yourself with. Be careful with the plan that you have in mind. So it's not 5 years, it's not 10 years, it's not 1 million, it's not 10 million. It is a journey has started. And I know that, first of all, awareness that I am in Kisumu. Sometimes we don't even know whether we're in Kisumu or Nakuru, right?
Or you're living in denial.
Sorry?
Or you're living in denial. That means you don't know where you are. So you don't,
you could be living in denial.
Yeah.
Exactly. You could be waking up in the morning and somehow, however it is, you get money from different people. It's not income you can control. You need to be aware of the income you can control, and then figure out how does it grow from 1 to 2, from 2 to 2.5, from 2.5 to 2.75. And what's that plan like? And that is how you start moving from Kisumu to Mombasa, town by town, until you get to Mombasa. So it is not 5 years, it is not 10 million, it's not a big number, or it's not a defined time. As you said, Charles, it could be that you get an inheritance. But that inheritance could actually give you, quote unquote, freedom for 2 months. And then you find yourself in crisis because you didn't do the right thing with the inheritance. So it is possible to quickly move down 6 steps, from step 6 to step 1, depending on what you have done. Yeah. And how the decisions you've made with the money that you have earned. So at the same time, it is possible to move from crisis to security to freedom. And you've had stories of people who either get that inheritance and they go for advice. You go get the right advice, and you get someone to set up for you a portfolio that ensures that you never go lacking for the rest of your life because of this lump sum you have gotten, right? Or you could move from financial crisis and you get a very good job that moves you to stability. But then you start getting comfortable with stability, not knowing and forgetting where you came from. And you're just one check away from moving back to crisis. So you have to always be conscious about where you are and the steps you need to take.
All right, thanks. I just wanted to encourage people to ask questions, but wanted to focus on you, Dolly. Maybe you could just tell us from your personal journey, how did you start on this? Because you talked about awareness. So, and now you're here, you're helping people, you partnered with Kendi. How did it start for you? And I think it's, what inspired you to start on this journey? What triggered you? Was it a when? Was it a what? Was it a, who? And then, just tell us, well, how did it start for you? Because for a lot of people, yes, it starts from awareness, but for you, you seem to have done this for quite a while, for 17 years with different programs. You've now have ProsperPath, you've co-founded this, you're helping people. So, how did Dolly start? That would be interesting to know.
So for me, it started with conversations at home in the living room. I tell people just alongside the conversations about, did you master your memory verse? You're going to recite your memory verse when you go to church. Alongside those conversations was conversations, subtle, but for sure consistent, around money. And they were not called like conversations about money. And they were not also taught like this is financial education or this is financial literacy. But it's small things like switch off that light. Yeah. This is how much bread we have. We have to spend, we are 7-8 people, and this is how much bread we have for breakfast. So you start understanding that there's value in items and there's value in money. So for me, it started with those conversations at home. And for the parents who are watching, I would encourage them, don't let go of these things that we were brought up with. Because conversations about money actually do start with a 3-year-old. Like, why have you poured the water? Or close the tap. It is leaking. The water is, it costs money and stuff like that. That is where it started. And I think maybe much more deeper conversations as I grew up, because I had a mom who was a banker. She was a banker for 32 years, and she was investing in stocks. So every time there was like, conversation about, I remember the very first experience was the Kenya Airways IPO. So Kenya Airways was going to the public to sell the stocks, and I think it was 11.50 or 11.25, 11 shillings and 25. That time we used to watch the news, I think like everybody, maybe my age. 9 o'clock was sacred time. You had to sit down, keep quiet, watch the news. Because there could even be a Q&A after that, like, what did you hear? And the news started with, what the president has done, all the way to the end, business news, sports news, until goodbye. Yeah. In that business news section, there was stocks and shares and conversations about company this, company that, and we'd get engaged in those conversations. So the Kenya Airways share is actually where it started for me. I was in my teens, and it was, I was old enough to understand that we got the IPO at 11 shillings and 25 cents or something like that. And then I think 2 years later, I can't remember, but I was in university at the time. We sold it, or I sold it, the ones that were under my name, because my siblings also had. I sold it for 92 shillings. And I was like, wow, you buy at 11, you sell at 92. And that is how you can quickly move from financial, actually, it moved me from financial crisis to some sort of stability, not freedom yet, not independence, but gave me a good pat on the back and told me, these things you can do, Dolly. So that's how it started with me. But as I started working, I got actually conversations, and very deliberate conversations with friends. And friends who would understand where we are in our 20s. What do we do? I burnt my fingers. I burnt my, nilichomeka, I can say. There are things I did that I should not have done. But then there were conversations also from my parents, my aunties, my uncles, about things like join the circle. This is what the circle is. This is how you can take advantage of the circle. So those conversations first from the older generation. And then when we started coming together as colleagues and peers, we continuously went on to build, this stability and security actually for ourselves.
Thank you for sharing that and just telling us exactly how, that being taught money at a younger age has influenced you at this, throughout the years and has shaped you. Now, you brought in a very interesting conversation about parenting and, different generations. And then you've also talked about what went wrong. So maybe we could share with us some of the things that went wrong for you financially, maybe in terms of decisions that you made and you said, look, that wasn't a smart decisions, the ones that you can share. But more so, what's our responsibility as this generation towards the generation that is coming, whether it's our children? Because what I'm hearing from you, it's never too young to start the conversation. From as early as 3 years of age, you can start teaching a child or a child that is in your care about resource management. Don't pour the water, don't misuse the sugar, or don't, and so where do you see society now? What's our responsibility? Do you find we are helping the next generation? Or is it that the older generation has influence? So in an ideal society, what would you say, what would you recommend? We can start from there, then we can go through some of the decisions that you made that were not so proud.
Yeah, so let me start with the second question. What can we do for the future generation? And even before we talk about the future generation, the young ones now, for ourselves, we need, first of all, ourselves to understand that we did not go through formal financial education, and we need to seek it and to honestly seek it. Because, we go to school so that we can be able to earn a living and survive life, and live, right? So there's something that was not taught to us, and we need to honestly seek that education. Our parents did the best they could, and we are grateful, right? They also did not have, the education actually came in different ways, even from our grandparents to our parents. It came in very different ways, but our realities are different from our parents. My reality is different from my actually my children are now emerging adults. My reality is different from my emerging adults, because most of my years, money was cash in the wallet. It could be seen, it could get lost, it could fall down, and then you pick it. And that meant different things. Like one day you wake up on Monday, you have a full wallet. On Wednesday, you're wondering, you open the wallet, there's no money inside. But my children will never go through that experience. And that experience of removing one note after the other, mentally also, it gets you to stop and think, should I really spend? Should I remove this money from the wallet? So my parents' experiences were different from mine. Mine are night and day with my children's, because my children have invisible money. The money is invisible. If we have, say, 178 participants here, just going by the demographics of Kenya, most of these participants will be under the age of 30. That means that they will have more invisible money than visible money, more intangible money than tangible money. Like the one you hold, this is a coin. It will be, you're doing mobile payments, there's crypto, there's, there are many things. And the more invisible money has gotten, the more I feel, and I think, and even research has it, that you actually don't connect with getting it and losing it. The connection is different when you're getting it and when you're losing it. So for our children, what do? We need to get them to understand the value of money in the context that they are experiencing money. Their money is invisible. Their credit is invisible. Their credit comes to them very fast. Credit came to me after sweat and tears. In fact, when I was leaving Form 4 high school, going to university, and I needed to open a bank account, at that time in my times, I'm quite blessed with years. I had to get a referee for my bank account to be opened. But now my daughter sits down and opens a bank account in 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And she can start, literally, she has a bank account. So the experience is different, and we need to understand that as we raise these children. But moving lower from the age of 18 to even the age of 3 or 4, value is what we need to teach first. Yeah, the value of wastage, the value of not wasting. I was in a conversation, I think about 2 weeks ago, with some women in a region talking about financial literacy. And one of the ladies there told us that the psychology of money, how you behave with regards to money, is ingrained in you by the age of 7. So you can imagine you might be struggling at the age of 50 with something that was ingrained in you by the age of 7. And these are different things. For example, you grow up and always being told, we don't have money. we can't waste money. We can't do this. So you just, you could just grow up with that scarcity mentality forever. But then maybe you're talented, you've gotten a good job, and there's a way you can actually get what you're earning and make it bigger, and maybe spend it to increase the pot. But because there was a blockage there at the age of 7, you kind of like are restricted in how you can think. So we want to raise our children in a way that gets them to appreciate the value, but at the same time, we get them to appreciate that, they need to secure it for tomorrow. You need to have an emergency fund. You need to get to a point where that step I talked about, where you have security. And security is where you can sustain emergencies. If something shakes you a bit, there's money to cover it. Yeah. But you don't step back and say, no, let's not spend, because that's a personality that you also have to be aware of and figure out what to do. So that's really what we should do with this generation.
Okay. I'm hearing values. I'm hearing, credit is easily accessible. So let's talk about the mistakes, then we jump to the questions. What are some of the mistakes maybe your generation made and this generation is making towards finances? Obviously, I love the point that you're saying that credit is more accessible, easily accessible for this generation. It's a click of a button on your phone, you have credit facility. In your time, you had to get a reference. Does it mean that the process of accessing credit in your time, because you had to go through different processes, made you aware that, step by step, I'm actually accessing credit? And so maybe the younger generation are going through, or that this generation is going through an easier way of accessing credit. Hence, maybe they have a challenge with that. So maybe talk about some of your generational mistakes and this generation, and then now we can jump into the question.
Yeah. So I think maybe I'll answer that differently. What would I have done differently if I go back? I would have diversified my investments away much more. When we grew up and our parents were like, you need to buy land. Land is secure. Land increases in value. But you need to buy. It's fine. You buy an asset that stores the value of your money for sure, and even grows the value of your money. But it needs to generate something for you from you. So what I would do differently is maybe explore other assets to invest in. So there was a lot of, even within chamas and groups and stuff, let's go buy land. And that time Nairobi was expanding, we were going off to Isinya and down Mombasa Road, or down going towards Ongatarongai, which is a full city on its own right now. But the accumulation of an asset over the same asset over and over again, and it's not generating cash for you, it's really actually cash is king. You need to get an asset that generates for you cash. So if I was to go back, what I would do differently is the cash generation part. The other thing I would do differently is we didn't have as much access to information and education as this generation. So this generation needs to take advantage of this. If I had this information in my 20s, therefore I'm speaking to those in their 20s and their 30s, if I had this information, I would start giving myself a target for passive income every year. Like this year, 2024, by the end of this year, 2024, December, I should be generating X number of shillings in passive income. Yeah, so that alongside my active income, as I'm growing, I'm building my passive income. So they go hand in hand. But we spent, and our parents even more. I told you my mom was a banker for about 32 years. Most of all that 32 years was active income. Although, there were opportunities to have the passive income being first of all, you work it and then you start earning it. So what I would do differently, maybe not a mistake. I mean, we invested as much as we could, but differently now with all the information. But going back 10, 20, 30 years, I would have a competition between my active and passive income. They would compete against each other and have a conversation every January to see who won.
I like that. I like that. So, okay. All right. So it's passive income, passive income, passive income, passive income. So I want us to just jump into the questions. We have the first question: is a financial auditor the same? Is a financial advisor the same as an auditor? So maybe you could have a say, or maybe the question could be: can an auditor be a financial advisor? Maybe that's a question from Awar. How do you?
So the auditor. So typically an auditor is trained and certified to audit the financial statements of a company, right? A financial advisor, a personal financial advisor, looks at your financial situation and advises you on how to work your money. So those are two different roles.
Okay. And then we have another question which you had touched on upon a bit, which is how do you differentiate between teaching a child a value for money in daily life and creating a scarcity mentality? And I'm not so there's that whole, there's maybe there's limited. So how do you go about that?
So you first must teach the value. Teach the value for money. Teach the child what wastage is. Wastage is different from scarcity. Like even if you are very rich, as in you are raising a child in a very rich neighborhood and you yourself are at level 6, meaning that most likely nothing is going to, get you back to crisis maybe. Even if you have a child there, wastage is wastage. That child should not go around leaving all the lights in the room on, in the whole house on. The water is flowing throughout. And things you will see, like I eat a quarter of what I have served and I pour the rest of the food. That is wastage. Wastage is wastage, whether you are in financial crisis or in the financial freedom stage or any other stage in between. So how do you teach a child between value and not scarcity mentality? Address the wastage. It is independent on how much money you have. And then in terms of scarcity, you start getting the child to understand how to produce, how to create. Like, what do you think you can do? For example, if you have a pen like this, you go like, if I buy this pen for 10 shillings and I sell 10 of them, it goes back to that math. But that math was not quite taught to us in a financial literacy way. But the child can know that this pen, I got it for 10 bob, and I can sell it for 15 shillings. So you start teaching the child, you can actually create value. But how do I create value? Maybe if I put a different, I don't know, I give it color green instead of color white. And then the green one, instead of putting a green lid, I'll put a blue lid. And you now have added value. You've created a new thing. And then you tell them, now don't sell it for 10 bob, go sell it for 20 bob. Yeah. So you've already done the wastage lesson for the child. They know wastage is wastage, irrespective. But then you're teaching the child how to add value, sell, and get a profit in between. That now the mindset for abundance and growth, you start inculcating it.
Okay, so it's a wastage, resource wastage and value. So resource management and values. All right. Another question is coming in, which is, how does one manage from Faith? How does one manage black tax in these different phases of the financial journey? So, how do you work around black tax? What's your take about black tax?
So first of all, one thing we have to appreciate as Africans is that we have family. So we need to look at that family as a blessing, right? That said, financial literacy, financial education, do not hoard it. It should not be yours alone. First of all, let me start with the parents' part. The parents' part, do not call it black tax. Your parents gave you time, they gave you success, they gave you value. They increased the value in you as a person, and that is why you're earning. That is why you are where you are. So you have to give back. So it is a blessing, it's not a tax, right? You do what you need to do for your parents. You might have siblings and maybe nephews and their children who are struggling here and there. What I would encourage you to do is to take this education to all that you can. Sometimes, and we were taught about this, and the education system, unfortunately, it's like there's number one and then there's number last. In financial education, there's no number one and number last. Everybody must be given the textbook. Everybody around you must get the copy of the textbook. I remember when I was growing up, we were the second lot of 844, so you can imagine how far back that was. Then is when the encyclopedia had been released. We never knew about this encyclopedia big book that had all the subjects with practice questions and then the answers at the back. But in the school, you'd get 2 or 3 children had it. It was expensive. Only 2 or 3 children had it. And you had to be their friends to get it and stuff. Now, that's because we are taught, like, there's going to be a number one and number last. So the more resources you have to read and study and, practice, the more you're going to be number one. And the others will go towards number last, right? The last number. Financial education you cannot change your situation that way. You can find yourself at financial security or independence, and then your family, something strikes your family and you all come down. Or something strikes your best friend and you all come down. So you have to take this information, you have to understand it and disseminate it. You have to call your friends for calls like this ones. Up until 30th of April, there's going to be a lot of free content. Charles is going to talk about it at the very end. If you haven't called all your cousins, all your family members, your parents as well, yeah, and interpret it if you need to, then there's going to be a problem. That is when you start looking at this thing as tax, because the enablement is closed up with 2-3 people. It cannot work like that.
No, so you're saying this involves the whole community. You've got to get everybody on board, my cousins, your siblings, your friends, so that they are on the same page with you, so that they don't see that as if you're acting different. Tell them this is what I'm looking at. This is the literature I've gone through. These are the tips I'm doing. Would you apply the same? So they can see, okay, this is the point of view you're coming from, as opposed to saying, no, I can no longer support you financially, but it's more of, have you thought about these different stages? Okay, I like that. So we have another question. So I'll just keep on. There's a question about debt capital. Someone wants to know, are you willing to expound on what is debt capital? And what do people mean when they say they're investing in debt capital?
Debt capital. Yeah, I saw that term being used a lot. It's where you invest and you don't, like the land I talked about earlier. We bought land because it was the only thing we were, taught in those days. This is the asset, buy the assets, get yourself some assets. At least we saved and bought, right? The others who did not save and ate everything. So there's different levels again. But debt capital, you buy an asset that is not producing for you. So you put your money there, the capital is there, it's held, and it's not producing for you. Remember, you want to invest your money where it produces a passive income for you, so that your passive income, as I said, can start competing with your active income. And then they have the conversation at the end of the year.
Okay. Someone also now is asking about practically where can one start on passive income? So
there are different ways and the different types of passive income. We're going to have a call during this month that will address just that passive income part. But it first starts with accumulation. You have to accumulate from your active income. If you have won a lottery, or you have gotten your bonus or commission at work, or you've gotten your inheritance or something, you want to figure out how to run that for passive income, get a financial analyst, get somebody, a personal financial advisor to help you. Yeah, because they will get you the answer that suits your needs. It's not a generic answer for 180 people. But if you have that lump sum, get help, get the professional help to do it. But if you're starting off with 20K, 30K, 40K, start saving and automate your savings and get them to invest. Right now, there are places you can invest for as little as 500 shillings. Yeah, I usually tell people, I started with saving and investing in the circle. I think it used to be 1,500 shillings when I was starting. And I know there are circles that have that same level. Start putting this money away because it's earning for you an interest. And there are places you can go and, get where you can get the passive income you'll earn from there is interest. Yeah, so you can get started at whatever value.
Okay, thanks for that. Winnie is asking, what advice can you give to a university student about this path of the different journeys? So, a university student.
Actually, university students and those ones in our 20s, the ones in the 20s, the very first investment you should make is in yourself. It is not magical. You need to understand what the world needs in terms of resources, in terms of skills, in terms of, you know, soft skills and technical skills. Technical skills would be hard things like, you know, programming and digital marketing, and those are technical skills. But soft skills in terms of how you express yourself, your attitude, your ability to work with people. If you don't invest in you as an asset, the first asset is actually you. So if you're in university, if you're a teenager even listening here today, or you're in your 40s and 50s, and you're thinking of transitioning from one career to another, one job for another, or you're in the same job, same career, and you want to advance, the answer is the same. How much are you investing in yourself? Because you're the first resource that is going to generate other returns from all the other resources or assets you will invest in.
Okay, so thanks for that. The other question is coming from Sydney, and Sydney says most of our parents who are retired now have a lot of land and don't have liquid cash, and they're struggling to meet some of the day-to-day financial obligations. What advice would you suggest in this situation?
So there are different reasons that people hold different kinds of assets, and one of those kind of assets is land. So there's no one answer that's gonna respond to that here, right? They do hold the land. They would know why they hold the land. By the way, the behavior we have in where we invest or how we spend is a reflection of what we value. All right. I tell people, if you show me your M-Pesa statement or your bank statement, and I read through how what you've spent on in the last 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, I will tell you what you value. Your value system can be read. The story of your value system is on your M-Pesa statement or your Safari or your bank statement, right? So your parents could value that land for whatever reason they value the land. So I can't give that answer here. But for you, as you start your journey, you need to understand that. And the other thing is that they were not given and provided the different asset classes that we have. And the asset classes that I had in my 20s and 30s were less than the ones that people on this call have. So all the different classes of assets where you invest in will keep changing, right? So for you who's starting, land is one asset class, but you need to figure out what other asset classes to have. And that land, if it is there, figure out how it can generate some money. Is it you build rental units, you plant hay for cows or something like that? You need to figure out how do you use that land. Much more than now, what do we do with this land? Don't look at it as a curse. Figure it out. Find out what do we do with this.
Okay, so it's a challenge to this generation to figure out how to value the land that maybe our forefathers and grandfathers and fathers have left us and our parents. Okay, so Anna has another scenario. Anna says she's been saving for a SACCO for a while, at least 2 years, and she hasn't been topping up on the savings, so it's dormant. Should she withdraw and move that money to an money market fund or some other vehicle? Because the goal of the SACCO was initially to take a loan in the future. However, right now, she's in the instability stage and she's trying to grow with the little she has saved. So her question is, should she withdraw? She's looking at a SACCO and a money market fund. So she's comparing those two products, those two financial, where should she put
instruments?
The money? So yeah, instruments. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Anne was her name. You would need to start with what's your goal. Yeah, because once you define that, you might find actually that you need to activate that SACCO account and continue with it. Or you might find that you're moving it out, but maybe not even to a money market fund. So you start with, you remember the journey, Kisumu to Mombasa. What is your Mombasa? Because your Kisumu is, I have money in the SACCO. This is my current situation. That's one part of your reality. But you could also have another part of your reality that could mean different things. You are, you might be a mom soon, or you're looking to, I don't know, whatever the situation that could be, but you're heading towards Mombasa. What is your Mombasa? Understand your goal and then figure out, knowing what I know, how do I move forward? Throughout the month, again, as I said, we'll try as much as possible to have people to come and talk about these different products. just so that you can have information. And it's not going to go deep into personal questions like that, for sure not. But it will expand your mind to understand the various options that you can take.
Okay, thanks for that. Radin Collins says, what role does budgeting play in financial literacy? And what are some practical techniques for creating and sticking on a budget plan?
So budgeting is key. You must understand, when we were talking about moving from crisis to the second stage and to the third stage, the expenses part is one part of the budget. The budget has two parts, the income part and the expenses part. That is the budget. So sometimes when you talk about a budget, people just think about the expenses. But it's expenses, yes, and then you figure out how to shrink the expenses if you can, and not to expand them. And especially if this is your income, usually the income is this much and then the expenses are like this. Now, if your income is this way and the expenses, you need to figure out how to shrink the income or to increase to shrink the expenses or to increase your income, right? So this is the budget. These are it plays two parts. There is that part down here, which is the expenses, the one down here. And then the income, usually the income starts small. Throughout the financial crisis is expenses, no income. This is financial crisis. Financial instability, some income comes, it goes. Sometimes it comes, it goes. This is instability. Financial stability is expenses are that way, income is that way. So at the end of the month, you're zero, this minus this is zero, more or less. That is financial stability. Independence, you start seeing this is higher, or maybe you manage to shrink your income, your expenses, and you have change. You see, this is how much is expenses, your income is a bit more, and then your security is, this is this much and this one stick, because there's only so much income you can spend at some point in your life. And freedom, I don't know, it's now all the way. So what is a budget? You need to figure out this income, these expenses, as simple as an Excel tool. Don't complicate it. Put it on Excel. First 2-3 lines. Start with a line that says my active income. Put it per month. Then get another line that says my passive income. Even if it is 0, that is what I did. Put it 0 year 1. My passive income. Put it 0 year 2. Let it always look at you and ask you, when are you going to put a positive number here? Okay. And then the expenses, you figure out based on the income, what do you do with this part? So automate your savings, another trick, when you get the income and expenses, so that you don't increase your expenses because the income has increased, make sure you get this out. Automate your savings. So what the income, part of that income, get it out and then get it to somewhere where it is earning for you passively. That's the only way you're going to start having that passive income line in the budget, reading a number greater than 0.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for the narration. Now we have a lot of questions, so I'll move very fast. So Lydia says, how can one transition from a crisis stage to a state of freedom following a major emergency with the challenges of consistent government tax increases, all while receiving the same income for years?
Mm-hmm. So again, it's planning. Understanding the route from Kisumu to Mombasa. Planning, travel that journey with the right people, experts, and people who will keep you accountable. It is really that. Then you start asking yourself much more precise questions. Like, if I need to get 10,000 shillings passive income per month, where do I start? So don't make it very simple and come down to daily planning, right? Understand the route you're taking and who's going that journey with you. Now, this complaint about government taxes and what is happening, we are, how many million Kenyans? I don't know. And how many of those are adults over 18 years? Everyone is facing the same situation as you are, but not everybody is struggling. So you need to figure out, even in the realities that exists, how does financial stability look like from financial instability within the environment that you exist? In fact, I usually tell my students when I'm teaching them, please, after you graduate from my class, don't go complaining like everybody else does. Do not send those memes everybody else is sending. Look at the meme and ask yourself, how can this be different for me? Yeah, because there are opportunities. even in the crisis, there is opportunity. So remember, invest in yourself as a resource, and then within that crisis, identify the opportunities, because as you complain about that, people are waking up every morning looking and seeing and exploiting that opportunity.
Okay, thank you for that. Grace asks, what's your take on borrowing to invest?
Sorry?
What's your take on borrowing to invest? That means you go borrow money to invest. So I'm guessing maybe you're taking a loan to invest in something like that.
So let me tell you that the word invest has been used very loosely by Kenyans, not just Kenyans, actually people around the world. So I'm cautious not to respond to that question because I don't know what that person means by invest. You know, there are people who say, I bought a car and I invested in my appearance. All right. So I will be very cautious not to respond to that question generally here. But to advise you to actually, as you're looking through what really truly is an investment, to have the conversation with you. Remember I said, stand on the shoulder of giants. Make sure that you're having the right conversations with the right people. And it's not people who did it last year and they still haven't seen the result from it. You need to actually walk the journey with people who have experienced it or who can teach you what to do and how to invest. So that's what I would say for that one.
Okay, there's a lot of questions about, another question from Diana. What's your take on buying apartments versus investing in things like bonds? If one has about 5 million at the moment, so the buying advice, is it something that you can answer now? Or maybe do these things require more context for you to answer? So
those questions require more context. And the context is individual. Yeah. It's individual. It is many things. Even where is the apartment? How much is the apartment? You remember the debt capital question. What does it, at the end of the day, what does it mean after you make that decision? Right? So there's a lot of context that would be needed for that. I'm just mindful of the time.
Yes, I am as well. So Myla from South Africa says, will the recording be made available on the website? I joined a bit later, 30 minutes later, because I'm watching from South Africa. Her time zone is different. So we will be able to post this recording on the YouTube channel. That is ProsperPath.Africa. Okay, yes. Nelson has a scenario. So you could tell me if you answer this or context. He says, you don't have enough capital. Where can one get angel investors or people like the Shark Tank in Kenya? What are the dynamics of that engagement, seeing that I may be afraid of them picking up the project and running it on their own? So here he's looking at getting angel investors. So where do we advise Nelson to go to do?
So there are the various organizations that actually bring these angel investors to Kenyans, by the way, including to universities and colleges. There are quite a number. I believe if you search online, you're going to find them. I know we always have the fear of, once I tell them my idea, they might go and take off with it. I maybe had that concern one day, far back, many years back. But there's a mentor who told me that it is only you who can launch and build the business the way you saw it. There's that somebody, and you can actually have somebody running with your idea, but the way you saw it being rolled out, the way you saw it providing impact, the way you feel it, it's only you who can feel it. So figure it out, get it together, and then find this angel investors where they are. I don't know them offhand right now, but they are quite a number. And some of them, it depends on the field you are. There's some who are straight up for agriculture. Others are for tech-enabled solutions, etc., etc.
Okay, because of time, I'll just rush these questions. Someone is asking, what is the definition of stability in terms of time? When your source of income stops and you can no longer sustain yourself before your next source of income. So I'm not sure the question is about stability in terms of time. So I think they're asking if they stop earning an income, what would you recommend in terms of time that they should be able to have? I'm guessing maybe an emergency fund, how long should an emergency cater for you? Because the question is, what is the definition of stability in terms of time from when your source of income stops and you can sustain yourself before your next source of income? So that break between what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that answer is the emergency fund. When you're earning, always build the emergency fund and keep expanding it. The minimum we say is 6 months, but we know getting a job or getting a gig here is different. I mean, it's difficult, but start with 6 months. And to get to 6 months, by the way, it can take you 3 years to get to 6 months cover, depending on what is happening in your life. So get started yesterday, right? Already. You know, sometimes you say 6 months, you go like, yeah, that is not so much. But it could take you 3 years to build a six month cover. The other thing is, I talked earlier, I think about, I don't know, just before COVID, some organizations or some insurance companies were offering a salary insurance cover that covers you for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, or something like that, in case you lose your job. Find those solutions. Again, it's education, education, education. Educate yourself. Get into spaces like this. If you never knew about that salary cover, today you know about it. And you know about it because you chose to plug in. So plug in, educate yourself, and figure out what to do. The other thing I should not close the call without mentioning is social capital. Make sure that you're building your social capital. This is even what our parents survived in. You know, did you ever grow up in your house like with a relative who was just trying to get started, or was okay and then something happened? You need to build your social capital, but not be a pest. Do not be a leech, yeah? But build your social capital in a way that it could translate for something for you. But you have to add value to those around you so that one day they add value to you. And the value they could add is, you know, you move in for the 2-3 months you're looking for a job, or I'll pay for you your rent the 2-3 months you're out, because we know you have value. It's just a matter of time before you get another job. Or, oh, I got a job somewhere. It will be good for you to get started. So do not ignore the social capital part, but you must go into it to add value, not to reap off from it.
Okay, thanks for that. Someone's asking, Stanley's asking, is it possible or okay to consider your parent or guardian as a financial advisor?
It depends on the education they have in that aspect. So okay. Yeah, it really depends on the knowledge they have.
All right. Someone's requesting a recap of the 5 of the 6 stages, and which is you know, from if I've been an attendant student in your class, it is we have the first stage is crisis, the second stage is instability, the third stage is stability, the fourth stage is independent, the fifth stage is security, and the sixth stage is freedom, if I'm correct. Okay, we are now closing off the questions before we talk more about ProsperPath. Please talk about balancing debt when we did not know better and investing at 35 plus years. So that's a question from Lynette. How do you balance debt? She didn't know better. Maybe she got herself into debt, or someone she knows got themselves into debt. And how does she start investing at 35 plus? What's your take on that?
So first of all, it's never too late to start investing. And the first investment is in yourself, right? You are the first asset. At 35, at 45, at 55, it doesn't matter. You start with yourself and you start understanding. And the way you invest in yourself is to understand what's the environment like. It has changed since I was 25. Or I have a different preference or different realization since I was 25. What then does this mean for me? So you invest in yourself first. Balancing debt, I don't know what that means. And so what I will advise is you need to get out of debt that is pulling you down. You need to figure out a way of getting out and not start any debt relationship that's pulling you down, because it weighs so much in your mind, and you will not be able to explore opportunities around you. So for debt, you have to be extremely careful. In fact, ask yourself, do you need the debt? First and foremost. You want to go to Mombasa. How do you go to Mombasa without debt? How about that question, first and foremost? How do I get to Mombasa without debt, all the way from Kisumu?
Okay, last 2 questions before we now allow you to wrap it up, which is the first question from Grace. She'd like to know about the role of insurance in financial literacy. And then the second question is, what's the percentage of emergency fund? What's the percentage of the emergency fund of the income? What percentage should you work with when you're working on an emergency fund? After that, we'll allow you now to wrap it up. So the first question, insurance, the role of insurance in financial literacy. And then the second question, emergency fund.
So insurance for me is some sort of protection tool, a tool that I would use for protecting or for covering emergencies. So you can imagine a car insurance, it covers your anything that could happen with your car, any accident. A medical insurance, it covers your medical issues. Life insurance, you die and you leave a life insurance cover for your family that you were the breadwinner for, or even if you were not, even if you're single without a child and you take life insurance, you take it and you will it to somebody, your nieces, your nephews, your mom, your dad. It gives that cushion. So it's either protecting you from something bad that could happen, or it is actually allowing you to grow your wealth, depending on what kind of insurance. So there are different insurances, and we'll have a session for insurances. There are different kinds of insurance you can take, and they serve different purposes. For sure, there are tools and instruments that you want to use for your financial journey. And there was another question I can't remember.
What's the percentage? How do you go about setting up an emergency fund based on your income? So let's say what percentage should you take from your income to set up an emergency fund? Maybe that's the question.
Okay, so it starts with, what does 1 month worth of expenses look like for you? Literally, if 1 month expenses are 50K or 30K, then you need to, now let's work with 50. It's a nice round number. If your 1 month is 50K, 6 months is 300,000. Okay, so now you have a target to raise 300,000. Then give yourself the formula to raise 300,000. You could say, for the next 6 months, I'm not going out, I'm not buying excess things, because I want my 300K intact. Somebody could say that. Or someone could say, I can't do those sacrifices because I'm educating my child, my brother's children, etc. So I'll start slowly. I'll do, I don't know, 15K per month until I get to 6 months. And that's why I say the 6 months emergency fund could actually take 3 years for you to build. Depends on what it is that you're looking to build and what your current expenditure is like. Okay.
All right. So I would like to thank you so much for Dolly taking time. We were to end at 8:15. We're now at almost 8:30. And there's a lot of questions. People obviously are really want to learn more about this. Stanley says, thank you so much for the insight, Dolly. As a young person, I've gained so much. Someone's asking for the YouTube channel. Great, George, it's ProsperPath.Africa. So go on YouTube, ProsperPath.Africa. We'll be able to post this. So Dolly, I'll allow you to just close it up with a few your remarks. And just, the month ahead, what does it look like in today's session? Wamboi Miruri says, may bless you, Dolly. So you've been a blessing to people this evening. So let's wrap it up and tell people what's next coming on.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your kind messages. I can see those on the chat. So just to wrap it up, I've said many things. I've talked about different stages of this financial journey. But to wrap it up, let's remember these 3 things. Actually, 2 things I leave with. Number 1, we remember these 3 things. It starts with a mindset. You have to train your mind. You have to feed your mind with education, with awareness. And then it starts, getting that all concocted to literacy. It starts with what you put in your mind, the knowledge. Seek it, hang out with the right people with the right mindset. So work on your mindset. First and foremost, that is where it starts. It's education, it's your upbringing. Figure out, how was I brought up, and is there something I need to unlearn? Is there something I need to learn? Is there something I learned that I need to relearn? It's all here, first and foremost. The second one is the skills, the skill sets, the skills on how to invest, how to trade, how to figure out insurance. Figure out, what are the skills that I need to even pitch my business. I might just need communication skills so that I can pitch myself as a better employee than this other guy so that I get the job. There are skills that will enable you earn. So you need to figure out your skill sets, the skill set that will take you from Kisumu to Mombasa. And thirdly, the tool set, the tools. Remember the budget, the one I talked about? That's a tool. The tools are not complicated things. It could be just this small, like this is the tool I'm going to use now, all right? So there's the different tools that you can work with, and it's a goal tracker. Like one of the tools is like you have a goal tracker, goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3, and you use it and you track it. And then you get people around you who have the same mindset. So that's the first part of my wrap-up. The second part of my wrap-up, I never leave any session, financial education session, without telling people this. A very simple formula, even if math was not your thing in school. You know, there are people who say math was not my thing, right? Even if math was not your thing, this is plus and minus only. I minus S equals E. All right? I minus S equals E. And S is for I. It's for another, I'll tell you. I stands for income. Your income, when you get it, remember the income? Your income, when you get it, minus, in here, you remove savings so that they can go and get invested. Your income, remove your savings from there so that you invest them where they can grow. So income, remove your savings, I minus S, equals whatever remains is what E will spend. So you have to remove your savings for investment before you can get your expenditure budget. What we always do, or what we usually do, is I minus E. So I minus E, sometimes E is bigger than I, sometimes it's equal to I, equals, the answer is not even 0. It is that emoji that is like this, oh my God, right? So let's not get to emoji status, right? For I minus S. So I minus S equals E. That's my parting shot.
I minus S equals E. Okay, thank you for that. Guys, in case we've not been able to answer your questions, get back to you. We're running out of time, but we thank you so much for the discussion. People are saying thank you so much. Someone is asking about the tickets. We'll talk about that now. So we will now project the event calendar for what is coming up in the month of April offered by ProsperPath. So we'll have it on your screens right now, and then I'll take you through what we are going to be doing the month of April. We have virtual events, we have content that's coming up on YouTube you can learn about. We have a physical event in Nairobi. And so if you can look at your screens as I take you through this month of April, what we will be doing, as the team from ProsperPath has partnered with people and industry leaders, experts, and we're having virtual events, physical events. We have a lot of gems dropping up. So it is going to project on the few. But hearing from Anita, this has been awesome. Elizabeth says, thank you, Dolly. There's a lot of positive feedback that's coming from people about this session. Okay. On your screens is the events calendar for the Financial Literacy Month, brought to you courtesy of ProsperPath. The first, at the top there, we have the money chats with experts. So if you go to the YouTube channel, ProsperPath.Africa, from 1st of April to 30th of April, there'll be 2 to 3 videos per day being posted there about money. It's a beautiful discussion. So go to the ProsperPath YouTube. Every day, 2 to 3 episodes of financial literacy content brought to you by people who have expertise. The people who are going to be sharing this have over 100 years of experience. So these are people who are very experienced in terms of giving advice about financial literacy and how to become more financially fit. The second thing that's coming up is on the 6th of April, and that is this Saturday in Nairobi for a physical event, Stories About Money. It's going to be running from 5 p.m. all the way till 8:30. You can, when you go to the website ProsperPath.Africa, you'll be able to see the 2 virtual events and then the physical event. And the physical event is called Stories About Money, April 6th. The ticket prices are there, and the details about the ticket, what it entails, are there. So go to the website ProsperPath.Africa. And then we have weekly Treasure Tuesdays. So this is our first Treasure Tuesday with Dolly. We have weekly Thrifty Thursdays, and that is a session coming up this Thursday, April 4th. So mark your calendar, same time, 7 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. We'll have a speaker joining us. We're going to have the CEO of Brighter Monday who's going to be joining us for that call. It's going to be a discussion about your earning age by Chris Otundo. So we're going to have the CEO of Brighter Monday, Chris Otundo, talking about your earning age, how you can have an age on your earning. And that is this Thursday on Zoom for a virtual event. After that, we have the last month physical event towards the end of the month on April 26th, the Ultimate Summit. This is going to be a full day engagement at Loresho. The 2 physical events will be held in Loresho. So if you go to the website, you'll see the details about the location, the ticket price, what it entails, and what you should bring about. But it's a full day. Don't miss it. It's a physical event in Nairobi. So if you're not in Nairobi and you want to attend the virtual events, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to be having Treasure Tuesdays, and we're going to be having Thrifty Thursdays. And so that is from the team at Prosper. If you forget anything, just make sure that you don't forget the website, ProsperPath.Africa. That has everything there, all the updates, all the details, all the links are there. You could also follow us on social media, and that is the social media account. The YouTube channel is there on the screen. That's the YouTube channel, so ProsperPath.Africa. It has videos dropping every day for the month of April. Every day you'll be getting content and gems of financial literacy. We are available on social media. We are available on TikTok, on X, that is the former Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Search for ProsperPath.Africa. It's been a pleasure being your moderator and host for this evening, and we're glad to have Dolly and you, all the participants from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining on this conversation. This is financial literacy. Remember the challenge. The challenge is every day, take 30 minutes and just look at your finances and say, how can I improve my finances? How can I make myself financially fit? What can I do? So every day, 30 minutes, take some time out, sit it, how can you improve? Whether it's, reading content, working on your budget, looking at your investments, looking at the assets you own. And then remember, this is a focus on you and your money. So thank you so much for the participants joining in. If you have any questions, you can email us on the website. Go to the website, just send us an email, drop us an email. We'll be able to reach out to you. It's been a pleasure. I will see you on Thursday for the other session. So Dolly, maybe you could tell us bye and what's in store. What are you excited about? And then we'll call it a wrap.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed my session. I'm hoping everybody else here has. There's so much in store. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of learning that you're going to go through. As Charles has said, every single day, there are new episodes on our YouTube channel. So you want to go there and subscribe so that when it drops, you get the alerts. It is amazing content from people who have advised people out of different stages of that journey that I talked about. So plug in. We have the Tuesday and Thursday webinars, and then we have the 2 physical events. The storytelling event is this Saturday. Normal, ordinary Kenyans will be on stage telling their story about money. And when you leave that stage, that auditorium, very beautiful place, and go home, you will go home reflecting and ready to take action. So if you're going to be there, we'll see you there on Saturday. All the details are on our website and our socials.
Okay, guys, so come through on Saturday physically in Nairobi, in Loresho. Everything's on the website. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you for the participants. Thank you for the team that is in the backstage, behind the scenes. Make sure that everything is operating smoothly. It has been a pleasure. Have a lovely evening and have a financially literate month. Bye-bye.